Revenge films.
I had a precious fiancée named Kuzuko. But one day, suddenly, I was unilaterally dumped, told she couldn't marry me. At that time, I had no idea about things like being able to claim alimony if an engagement is broken, and was just shocked and couldn't recover. Moreover, that day was our anniversary, and I was planning to give her shoes that would suit her as a gift, but I couldn't even give that, and just walked through town in a daze. Then, at the park, a woman standing there in a daze caught my eye, and I involuntarily called out, "Are you okay?" The woman had scratches all over her feet and arms and wasn't carrying anything. For a moment, I thought maybe she was attacked by an assailant, but my relief that it wasn't was short-lived. She didn't remember anything. Looking closely, she wasn't even wearing shoes, so I offered her the shoes I was supposed to give as a gift. "Can you wear these shoes? I don't need them anymore, so please wear them if you'd like."
Thank you very much.
I was worried about the size, but fortunately the shoes fit her perfectly. Looking even more closely, she had an injury on her head, so with her consent I took her to a hospital. And since I was anxious, I called my sister to come. Apparently, from the current situation, she seemed to have collided with a car, motorcycle, bicycle, or something, hit her head, and lost her memory. And unluckily, that area had poor public safety. And apparently, while she was unconscious, all her belongings were stolen. After getting treatment at the hospital, I had my sister accompany us to the police, but she didn't even remember her own name, and they couldn't keep her at the police station. So after worrying, we decided to have my sister's house take her in. She worried about being a burden to us, but my sister, who's always meddlesome, laughed, saying, "Don't worry at all." After arriving at my sister's house, my sister lent her clothes, and we decided to hear her story while eating. She couldn't remember a single thing about why she was there, and seemed very anxious about what she should do from now on. But then my sister said,
"One of my shop's employees is about to take maternity leave. Want to try working for a while? Of course you can stay at the house."
When she said that, the woman asked in surprise, "Is that okay?" And my sister said with a smile, "It's totally fine." My sister has been running her own restaurant since her 20s and has a good reputation in town. There are several employees and one of them was quitting, so she was apparently thinking about recruiting. For me, too, I couldn't throw a penniless woman out, but since she was a woman, I couldn't shelter her myself, so my sister's words were very helpful. Thus, she came to be taken care of at my sister's house and to work at my sister's shop for a while. Maybe she'd remember something while working. After resolving her situation, hell awaited on my end. I left her to my sister and went to work as normal, but for some reason, everyone's gazes were cold. When I wondered what this was about, apparently an outrageous rumor about me had spread at the company. Actually, Kazuko's father is a department head at the company where I work, and Kazuko is a receptionist, but the reason Kazuko and I broke up this time was rumored at the workplace to be that I was two-timing, got my affair partner pregnant, and the engagement was broken. I immediately corrected that such rumors were lies, but the department head and Kazuko seemed to be spreading the story proactively, and no one would listen to my story. When that happened, my credibility fell to rock bottom in no time, and I had no choice but to resign in a form of being driven out of the company. Moreover, just shortly after, I heard that Kazuko and a handsome man got married. I had no choice but to find another job, but in the recession I couldn't find one easily and was working multiple jobs at convenience stores and pubs while job hunting. Meanwhile, having picked her up, I frequently showed my face at the shop, but as usual, I could only do part-time work and couldn't help feeling pathetic, wondering how it came to this. Then one day, my sister said,
Why don't you try interviewing at this company? They're recruiting.
That company was a major company said to be #1 in the prefecture, and I said there's no way I'd be accepted at such a company. But told, you won't know unless you try, I reluctantly decided to try the interview. And when I went to the company and said I came for an interview, I was confused being made to stand before a grand door. I was surprised to see a young man in his 30s who seemed to be the president waiting inside, and the woman who was there. Huh? Why are you here? The person there was the woman I'd picked up. Then the man said he'd explain everything, but wanted to thank me first. There, the truth came out one after another. Apparently, the woman I picked up was this company president's younger sister, and that day she seemed to have been caught in an accident. But during a shop break, she saw her brother being interviewed on TV and remembered everything. She loved travel and apparently often didn't come back for a while once she went on a trip. So, thinking she'd contact them eventually this time too, his sister suddenly burst into the president's office and he heard the story. Of course, my sister made me come here while understanding all the circumstances, and after hearing all the circumstances, when the president said to me, "Please work for us," and bowed his head, and I looked at her thinking it was a dream, she nodded gently. So I bowed, saying, "I look forward to working with you." 3 years later, that day I was attending the company's founding anniversary party when I was called out from behind by Kuzuko and the department head.
Huh? Why are you here? You got fired from the company. Oh, are you working as a waiter here?
No company would hire an incompetent like you, huh? To the two I met for the first time in a while, I bowed politely, said, "It's been a while," and presented my business card. Then the two were shocked. "Why are you a department head at this company? It's a major company!" Then my brother-in-law, who's the president, was standing behind us before I knew it, and briefly explained the circumstances so far to Kazuko and the department head. He helped my sister when she had amnesia, and now he's working as my brother-in-law. Then the two were even more shocked at the word brother-in-law. So I introduced the woman whose name I didn't even know back then to them, this time as my wife. Then Kazuko looked at my wife with a frustrated face, and the department head directed a jealous gaze at me, wondering, why this guy? However, the department head immediately turned his palm and, while flattering me, said, "Please form a partnership with us." Well, my brother-in-law's company was inherited from my in-law's generation and is still growing. If he could form a partnership with such a company, it would be the department head's achievement. But of course, I refused. Stop joking! You two spread groundless rumors about me and framed me! There's no way I can work with such people! Then my brother-in-law also said, "That's right, we don't intend to do business in the future with a company whose values do not align with ours." Hearing that, the two turned pale. After that, many invited guests who heard this story gossiped about the two, and when it was exposed at the company, the department head was stripped of his position and transferred to the countryside. And Kuzuko apparently had her two-timing me exposed to her husband at the time, was claimed a large amount of alimony, and ended up losing everything. I never dreamed that extending a hand a little at that time would connect to such a future, But divine punishment properly struck the two who once messed up my life, so I'm truly refreshed. From now on, I intend to forget about those two and live looking forward with my precious wife.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.